The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Mullins has a bit of an issue. Well, we all knew that, to be honest, but this is a bit of a social media issue. And you wouldn't have thought the great Kevin Mullins would have any issues at all with social media, because he knows everything there is to know about social media, except the fact that you've now filled up your friends quota. You can't have any more friends, Kev. That's it.
I know. Well, I had an email from somebody the other day saying, I've friend requested you on Facebook, but you haven't accepted.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm very sorry, sir. I'll pop off and accept you now. But when I pressed accept, Facebook said, nah, sorry, got too many.
This is because you have got to, what is it? How many thousands do you need to
5,000, I think it is, yeah.
So you got 5,000 friends?
Yeah, and it won't let me have any more. I don't know those 5,000 people, of course, but I know about 6 of them.
But you could. What you need to do, Kev, I'm going to solve this for you straight away, and I won't charge you for this mentoring moment. Why don't you just delete a few?
Well, I did think about that, and I went into the friends list to look for, all the people beginning with N, so I could start there. But no, in seriousness, there's no easy way of sorting in Facebook. You can't sort by things like last time I ever spoke to these people or last time they even looked at my stuff. It's just totally random. It's not even in order of when they joined or when they friended you or you friended them or anything. It's completely random.
Why don't you? I mean, you could get rid of people that you don't want to know what you're doing, like stuff you buy. I mean, get rid of Gemma for a start. Oh, sorry, Gemma, but honestly, but then you wouldn't have to worry about talking about stuff you've bought because she listens to the show.
Gemma's not on Facebook. Never
is she not?
Been.
Oh,
no.
Right.
However, I've got a really, really, really clever solution for this. Really clever. I break my brains about this. So I never normally switch on the thing that tells you when other people's birthdays are, because obviously, with 5,000 people every day, you've got about 400 people's birthday. And so I don't really want it saying, it's their birthday, wish them happy birthday, and then showing me pictures of balloons and flowers and stuff. Yeah. So I switched that off a long, long time ago. But now what I might do is switch it on.
Yes.
And then it will tell me whose birthday it is today. Then I can look at that and decide if I still want to be friends with them. And if I don't, for their birthday present, I'm just going to delete them.
Or you could do one. Well, yeah, that's a good idea. But you could also do that thing that needy people do. When they say, I'm looking at my friends and I'm going to cull some people, waiting then for people to say, don't cull me, Kev, I love you, sort of thing. You could do it that way.
I could, but that's stupid. I hate that.
Or you could do it the nightclub way. One out, one in.
Yeah, oh, mate, you ain't coming in my Facebook friends group with shoes like that on.
That's right, you're wearing trainers.
The FujiCast.
Anyway, yes, so that's Kev's dilemma this week. Dilemmas that we used to have were things like, selling enough weddings to pay the rent and stuff like that. Now the dilemma is simply, I've got too many friends in Facebook, what can I do?
COVID times. Biggest problems.
Anyway, welcome to the FujiCast, you and your questions from our electronic mailbag, and of course also through the FujiCast private Facebook group that you're welcome to become a part of. If you want to send a mail, send to click@fujicast.co.uk. If you're not a Fujifilm shooter, do not worry, it's a big community, and whatever flavour you shoot, you are very, very welcome. Kev's Book of the Week this week. What's Kev's Book of the Week?
My book of the week is A Voice Above the Lin by Robbie Lawrence, which is absolutely beautiful.
Is it? We've got the second part of Ask Andreas, and also a special little extra. That's no way to talk about our guest, Neil Ford, with the results to the FujiCast at 4.
Remember that?
I do. That great idea that the founders of the FujiCast didn't really take part in.
But do you remember the reason why we thought about it was because it was our 1-year anniversary? That's why it started exactly a year ago. Well,
on that note, this could almost have been script written. We're now at the second anniversary. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. But we've got no party for this one.
Are you not allowed to say happy birthday? You're not allowed to sing happy birthday because it's copyrighted.
I don't think it's copyrighted. Is it really?
I don't know.
I mean, it gets sung on so many things, television programs, radio programs. I think it's in the public domain now, isn't it?
I don't know. But anyway, yes, you're right. It's 2 years. 2 years exactly yesterday.
Yeah.
No.
A couple of days ago.
Last Thursday.
There's a clue to when this was recorded. Oh, Kev, you've got to remember this stuff. But we would probably. What would we probably have done? I think we would have been down at the House of Photography.
Yeah, well, Andreas was all over that already at Christmas time. He was like, we really want you guys to come back.
Yeah.
We'll do it bigger and better. And, in fairness to Andreas, he said, have the second year anniversary at the House of Photography. We'll give everybody who turns up a free GFX 100 as long as you have it in the month of January.
Okay.
We were so close.
I know.
But it's a shame. It is a real shame because we had a great time last year at the House of Photography. Do you remember we were in Chinatown, weren't we? And everybody was like, "Oh, have you heard about this bug that's going around? It's all getting a bit nervy." And next thing we know, boom, there we are. 12 months later, haven't seen you since.
I know. Oh dear, they were the days. We went to O'Neill's, didn't we?
Yeah,
we packed the
Wardour
place.
Street. Yeah,
and and then here we are now. A party for one, sir. Oh, don't mind if I do.
But we will definitely, when times allow us, which won't be long now, because we're going to burst through that light into the shadow or something. No, we're going to burst out of the shadow into the light, something like that, very soon. And we will definitely be back at the House of Photography, and you are all invited. Well, but as long as you don't all turn up, because that's 575,000 of you, which is not good.
Well, you can't have more than 5,000 because Kev will have to sort of strike some people off. So we will have that party. It's going to be a little bit delayed, as you said. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'm opening a tin of beer. I'm trying to do it quietly. You know what? It's like when you open sweets at the back of church, isn't it? You're like, there we go.
Is that you, Mullins? Stop chewing. So for the astute of you that do listen to this and think it's going out live, somehow I'm sure you don't, at 7 o'clock in the morning, this is not on what we would otherwise call airline time, which is where you're allowed to drink beer at any time of the day.
Right.
Because if you go into an airport, you should not feel ashamed to. You probably should. But welcome to the FujiCast anyway. Do you want to do an unboxing, Kev?
Yeah, let's do it. What have we got?
Well, I got this box come through the post, and it is hold on. Let me just. I should have a great big Bowie knife or something, shouldn't I? Because that's
in a leather sheath.
That's it. But I've only got my scissors, so I'm going to have to break open the seal. There we go. And I've got this. It's a Sony digital camera ZV-1. Oh, shoot! Just dropped.
Did you drop it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Is it broken into a million pieces?
Oh, I think it's
What
all
have you
right.
got that for?
Now, a friend of mine is doing some vlogging, and he wanted to. He bought it, and he's given it to me to. I suppose I don't know.
To drop and break.
He said, "You know how to use cameras?" I said, "No idea. I mean, I've not passed my physics A level to understand how the menus work." So I've got
in trouble.
I've got this camera, and he wants me just to set it up. So I thought what I'd do is just put a battery and a card in it and give it back to him, because it's supposed to be easy to use, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I'll scoop it
Put
off.
on P mode. Put on P mode.
P
All
mode,
good.
yeah, that's it. Right, should we go with questions?
Why not?
Do you want me to go first or you?
You go first. Why not?
Here we go. One from
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Kev. There we go. This one is from Tommy Two Tone. Oh, it was only Tommy One Tone today. Hi Neil. Hi Tommy Vessel. Tommy Two Tone. Hi Kev. Hi Neil. I'm grateful to have picked up a used X100F, my first Fujifilm camera, and what a beauty! With 3 kids running around, I haven't had the chance to dive in sort of a professional way. I knew about the ND filter button, fiddled with it a bit, but I hadn't realised it had been on for 95% of the time I'd been making photos. I kept thinking, oh, this is a nice camera, but it's a bit strange that I'm always at 1/60th and ISO 1600 while at f2 in the middle of the day just to get a shot. Quite by accident, I realised it'd been on the whole time. Wow, what a difference. Oops. Question is this: have you two ever unknowingly had a setting in your camera turned on that was sabotaging your good work, which might make for a good story?
I remember back in the day of DSLR, I used to regularly, and I used to shoot manually. I used to regularly shoot in bright daylight at 12,800 ISO and various things like that regularly. I was so happy when Canon brought a auto ISO, but when they first did it, you couldn't have a minimum shutter speed, so you'd put it on auto ISO and it'd shoot at like 1/4 of a second or something. But yeah, I did that. Actually, that ND filter thing is a common problem. I was speaking to somebody this morning about their camera, and we were going through the custom display settings. And one of the things that he didn't have switched on, actually it was her, she didn't have switched on, was the to tell you when the ND filter is on. So if you don't have the option in your custom display settings to tell you it's on, and it's on, you don't know it's on, and that's bad.
Yeah, no, I had that for quite a while before I figured that. Can't think it's a similar sort of situation to you really, Kev, with the DSLR and the ISO thing and the ND thing for me as well. Actually, that sort of haunted me a bit with the X100F, but I can't think of any other settings really.
I've also with a couple of the early Fujifilm cameras with the before they had lockable dials on the top. I think on the XT1.
Oh, you can nudge them.
You could nudge them into the advanced filter mode, and you'd end up with everything in blue was in black and white, and everything red buses were red, and everything else was black and white, or everything was in toy camera mode.
Toy camera. God.
But
but no. Apart from that, no. But I'm glad you found that button though, Tommy Two Tone, and now of course you can enjoy your camera. Right, yours from the Facebook group. We probably need some more coming in from the Facebook group, don't we?
Yeah, I'm looking through. I'm scrolling. I'm still scrolling, and I'm still scrolling. I'm finding. For those of you who are on the Facebook group and you know this thread, it's where you put the questions for the show, and you'll realise that I put a little cheery character of myself now after each one to indicate that I've answered it. So many people are messaging me saying, "Why have you put a picture of you in a Christmas hat saying yes on a thread?" So that's the reason. You don't need to message me. It's the reason I've answered your question. So, okay, let's see what we've got here. All right, so I've got one. I've had to scroll all the way to the bottom.
Right.
That's bad. So come on, people, help us out. Jarell Gates says, specifically to me, "Hello, Kevin Mullins." I love it in Facebook when they put they don't press backspace to delete your second name. So it says, instead of saying hello, Kevin, it says hello, Kevin. I always think I'm in trouble straight away at that point. Hello, Kevin Mullins. Since you know everything Fujifilm is planning years before they announce it, in brackets, haha, quite right. I was wondering if, when you have your weekly brunch with their CEO this week, could you ask him just about when we can expect Nostalgic Negative to be ported over to the XT4? Since it's just a simple copy and paste job, I'm sure they could have done it right away. But he does, again, Jarell says, haha, in brackets, of course.
That doesn't let you off the hook, by the way, when people go LOL or only joking afterwards.
Yeah, but in this case, I mean, definitely the haha makes sense. So Nostalgic Neg is the new film simulation that was announced for the newly announced Fujifilm GFX 100S. Oh, there's so many X's and F's and S's and stuff these days. And it's the new film simulation that's just, I believe, at the moment, just available in that camera. If and when it ever comes to any other cameras, I have no idea. I do not know these things. And I'm sure that if we had Andreas, we have got Andreas later, but this isn't a question that he had asked. But if it was, he wouldn't know the answer either. The fact is, with the film simulations, I know that they are very specific to the sensors. So the fact that it's come in the GFX 100S possibly indicates to me that we won't see it quickly in any of the X-Trans sensor cameras, the APS-C ones. I might be totally wrong, but I wouldn't hold your breath there, Jarell. It is, as you quite rightly point out with your little haha in brackets, not a simple thing to do. There's a lot of keyboard tapping and programming and all that kind of stuff involved. So yeah.
I thought you were about to say,
"It is what it is. It is what it is."
The famous Mullins is what it is. Right, question from Michael Marin. Question for Kev. I was intrigued to learn that you didn't do much, if any, photography before getting into wedding photography. That seems like jumping in at the deep end, and before you can even swim. How did you go about learning enough about photography to be comfortable tackling weddings? What was your process? Look forward to the show every week. From Michael Marin, who's in Ontario in Canada. Loving my X100F, he says.
The first thing I did was I did speak to a couple of photographers, or one photographer, who kindly said, on a Facebook group, and kindly said, yeah, come with me to a wedding. So I did. And that was it. I'd never shot at a wedding beforehand, never really photographed anything apart from the point when I made the decision to become a wedding photographer was when Rosa was born, or just before she was born.
I know, yeah.
And bought a camera and took pictures of her and stuff, and that was it. So I'd never had a camera beforehand. I don't know. Is it a little bit like, I don't know. It's like anything, isn't it? If you decide to do something, you've just got to get on with it.
Well, yeah, but some people choose their moments. I mean, I can't imagine when you went bowling into that room and you had a baby on the way and you said, Gemma, I'm going to become a wedding photographer. What the? That's essentially what I think probably greeted you, wasn't it?
Exactly that. Yeah, actually, it was that followed by, well, you don't even have a camera and you can't smile.
Yeah, there was lots going for you, Kev.
Yeah. And she actually said, if I remember rightly, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure I'm right, she said, I think you'd be rubbish.
Did she? No.
And maybe I have been rubbish, but I've been rubbish.
No.
560 odd times.
Yeah, absolutely. But didn't she say the same for when you said, I'm going to go and be a teacher recently? What did she say about that?
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, I was thinking very seriously about becoming a proper teacher.
Yeah.
And she said, Kev, you're a brilliant teacher. You'd make an amazing teacher, but you're only good at teaching people when they give you money.
Yeah. So
that didn't happen either, which is good, because now we've got our light at the end of our shining tunnel.
I know, look at that light over there. Oh. Yep. Okay, have you got any questions left there in the Facebook group, or do you want me to read another one of mine?
Okay, I've got one from Eric Oppenheisen.
Eric who, sorry?
Oppenheisen.
Try that again.
Oppenheisen. Two P's.
Actually, that sounded worse than the last time. You can have that one.
Must be one of those silly silent letters. What a waste. Anyway, Eric says, I discovered your podcast in the summer and it's been a joy to listen to and learn from. Thank you both. You've probably shared this before, but I'd love to know how you both transitioned into a career in photography. We've kind of just spoke about that, I suppose. Yeah. What was the motivation, more importantly? And have you got anything that you wish you'd done differently?
Well, my motivation was that I was given sort of, I suppose, a Hobson's choice in many respects, if you know that phrase. I mean, I was a bit bloody minded about it. The ultimate boss of the company that I was in effectively said to me, it's either your photography or my company. And I thought, don't you dare. And that's when I looked him square in the eye and said, I think I'll take photography, thanks very much. And then walked out the room thinking, what on earth have I just done? But sometimes you need somebody to give you a kick up the right proverbial, don't you, really? You need somebody that's going to challenge you enough. And I think in many respects that this pandemic has been that for a lot of us. Not a welcome way of having it by any means. But for example, the podcasting, I've sort of found, and I'm not just talking about the Photography Daily podcast that I do, I'm talking about other podcast projects. I've just released one about the guy that did the Crunch, the Ra band. And the people he's worked with, like Paul McCartney and Cliff Richard, and people like. I mean, he's this incredible arranger. You might not have heard of him. His name is Richard Hewson, but you have heard him because a lot of the music that he's arranged and things like. What did he do? Was it the?
We're all going on a summer holiday.
No, the Long and Winding Road.
Oh yeah. He ain't heavy.
No, that's not Kev.
No, but it was the same people, wasn't it? It was the...
No, that's the Hollies, Kev.
Yeah, they did that as well, didn't they?
Right, no, Kev. But that's the sort of... do we give any points to Kev for that one? No, none at all. But that's the sort of... I mean, the pandemic and having your hand forced sometimes does that to you. And I think photographically, my hand was certainly forced. Yours wasn't. You just went headlong in.
Well, it was kind of forced because it was either carry on doing my soul-destroying career that I had, or do something different, something a little bit creative, and that's what happened. And I mean, part of the question from Eric is, is there anything you wish you'd done differently? And I actually honestly don't know if there was or is. I would probably not have done so much so quickly. There's. But
hasn't that been the story of your personal success in terms of becoming a brand ambassador? If you do things quickly, sometimes if you have to learn to swim in the deep end, sometimes that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in doing, just do it, as they say in Nike world. I'm a big believer in that. But it obviously brings its challenges, and there's lots of hurdles, and you fall over and you cry a lot. But you do kind of brush yourself down and get on with it. But to answer the question about anything you'd wish you'd done differently, no, apart from perhaps, like I said, just not so much so soon. And by that I mean the amount of weddings I shot and things like that. It's one of those things that you've got no control over. You get the booking, you shoot the wedding, and that's it. But that career transition was very quick. Yeah. There was no blurry lines. It was one straight line down the table, and I crossed it
straight in. Yeah.
But same for you. It was the same for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything I'd have done differently. I did. There's some things. Maybe I'd have kept on going. Maybe I'd have built part of the company that was doing the schoolwork, for example. It was a tremendous source of income when we first started the company. And I do wish that I'd carried that on, really. And because we had a small team, a very small, very modest, 2 people, who were beginning to do it. And I don't know why we didn't carry on doing it. I don't know why.
There's business elements of things, isn't there? That we always have kind of regrets or wishes that things had happened business-wise, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, you could, if you look at the story of Venture or, what's the other one?
Olam Mills?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, Mills and Boom. Of the photography world. The stories behind them are quite incredible, really. Find a formula that works and stick to it.
Yeah.
And away you go. But, one of the other things I would say to probably anybody who's starting out right now, and I don't think I fell for this trap, and you didn't either, although you definitely worked harder than me, certainly like wedding wise and numbers.
I just did more. I wasn't necessarily working harder than you.
Well, okay, more then. But the point is, we see, and you and I have spoken about this on the podcast before, we see lots of people, especially young'uns, hipsters, youth, with all of this excitement and ambition. And that's great. That's a wonderful thing to see and very, very good thing to see. But they do sometimes run a bit too fast for their young feet.
Do you think so?
And yeah, I think so sometimes. And, there's I saw something on Facebook the other day, and I have no idea what it was, but it might have been an advert or something. But the analogy was that this of a photographer who was very successful and earned loads of money and drove big cars and everything like that. And when they were 70 years old, they'd created millions and millions of memories, beautiful pictures and everything, but none of them were of them. And I think that's something to take into consideration, that it's not always just about the business and it's not always just about getting the next job. I learned that very early on, and I kind of pinned back the amount of work I did and, always made sure I took all of August off, that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that everybody has to do that and can do that, but it was a conscious thought that, hang on, this is going probably a bit too fast for me. Yeah. So, it's things like that, I think, are really important to take on board.
Yeah, no, good advice. Right, let's go for this week's interview, because we got a few extra. We've got one extra bit to make sure we do. We're going to, first of all, we're going to meet Andreas and have the second part of Ask Andreas. Thank you very much for all the questions you sent in. We should say, by the way, that there are some that were unanswered. There were some very technical ones, weren't there? That what's the idea with those? That people are going to go in and just. I mean, I know they are already going in and solving some of them. Yeah,
they can do that. But also, what we will probably do, if it's all right with Carl and his bosses, is we'll probably have another Ask Carl session where the more techie type things could be done.
Good idea.
If Carl's up for it,
I'm sure he will be. Let's have part 2 then of Ask Andreas. Your questions to the marketing manager of Fujifilm UK, Andreas Georgiadis.
Okay, right. Graham Millett says, what am I missing about the XS10? It's more expensive than the XT3. So, Andreas, what is Graham missing?
So I did smile when I saw this, and it's one of those things where when something is brand new, most retailers sell it for its full suggested retail price. The XT3 at the time of launch of the XS10 was 2 years old. So retailers are thinking, actually, this is a bit of old hat. We were also at the time in a promotional period. So the price of the XS10, the XT3 was much lower. So if you looked at the price today, then actually the XT3 is more expensive. So Graham can feel good in the knowledge that the XT3 is more expensive, or feel he can get a deal on the XS10. But in essence, it was all about timing as to how old the product is, retailers feeling that they need to sell through slightly older model because the new models are getting more noise and more excitement about them. So yeah, it's a number of factors, but there's no technological reasons why you'd think that. One has IBIS, and I'm not going to go through all the differences of the two models, but in essence, it was more to do with the age of the XT3 at the time of the launch of the XS10, and then it was on promotion. But if he goes on the website today, he'll probably see that the XT3 is more expensive than the XS10.
It seems insane to think of the XS10 as an older camera. It was only announced a couple of months ago, but I think it was kind of November time. People getting ready for Christmas, all that kind of stuff. So it might have slipped under the radar for a lot of people. So maybe just tell people what the XS10. What's the target audience of the XS10, perhaps?
So yeah, you're 100% correctly. The XS10 was announced at a time where a lot of people were just concentrating on deals and Black Fridays and all that sort of thing. So it probably hasn't had the love in terms of attention that it deserves. But for us, we understand the majority of our users. We understand they like the individual dials, they more photographically focused and things like that. And that's where XT30, XT3, that's the heartland of those sorts of cameras in terms of SLR style. And then we've got XE4, X Pro 3 for the people that prefer the rangefinder style cameras, the discreteness of them, etc., because they don't, in inverted commas, look like proper cameras. Then we have a hybrid user, which is wanting to use a lot more video, wanting to still have great stills quality, wanting that flexibility of both and not being put into one camp. So we sort of developed the XT4 for that sort of user, right? But then we have a whole heap of people shooting DSLRs, wanting smaller, lighter systems, not wanting to go bigger, more expensive full frame. And right now, there isn't a camera available for them. So if you think of, and my dad is the perfect example because he is the XS10 customer. My dad has been a Canon 500, 600, 700, 800 series shooter for 20 years. And don't get me started on that. It's a big embarrassment and people can laugh at it later. But he doesn't like the Fujifilm system because of the individual dials, too many buttons, and he finds it too intimidating, too complicated. So looking at that, understanding that there is a lot of customers in that position, and he actually wants a smaller, lighter system than his Canon. But Canon don't offer an equivalent APS-C camera. You have to go into the full frame, and then full frame becomes full fat pricing as well in terms of lenses, etc. So there's a market clearly defined for that type of customer who's an enthusiast, not a professional, but a serious enthusiast who loves their photography, who wants the simplicity of a PASM dial, because that's what they're used to from either Canon or Nikon. And actually, if you think of the Micro Four Thirds Brigade as well, there haven't been a huge number of developments in that segment either. So the huge opportunity for us to offer a camera to cater for that audience. So new users to the Fujifilm system, show them the fact that we are committed to the system with over 37 lenses for that system. So be it zooms, the primes, the cinema lenses, whatever they want. And that's ultimately who the XS10 is designed for. So without saying actually Fuji audience, it's not really for you. That's sort of exactly what I'm saying. We have cameras that we feel fit that audience, be it a pure photographic orientated XT30, XT3, a bit of a hybrid shooter, XT4, So like your snap shooter, so the XE4, even X100V, or your documentary, your rangefinder style X Pro 3. So we felt that the only gap that was missing was a product to really appeal to the existing brigade of DSLR shooters who want a smaller and lighter system, but their current brand doesn't offer them that because they're neglecting that APS-C sensor in the market.
Denver Aubrey asks, is there any sign of the Instax Wide this year? And also, he's very kindly offered to look after all of your Acros 2 film while the House of Photography is locked down. So Instax Wide, and can you give him a whole load of Acros 2?
So while the shop is closed, while the House of Photography is closed, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Denver for putting himself out and offering that facility. I know how selfless he is, but I wouldn't feel right taking him up on that offer. I would feel that it was too much of an imposition if we did that. And I fear that more people would ask us as well. With regards to an Instax wide printer, I honestly don't know, unfortunately. I work in the EI team currently. I'd love to see one as well. I'll be first on the list, second on the list rather, after Denver, if and when one comes out.
Okay, here's a little bit of a contentious issue, I suppose. Maybe not, though. From Zhao Larenko. And he says, I'd like to know how Fuji choose what to implement on future cameras. Is it through the insight of their ex-photographers, or do they also take into account all the YouTubers and influencers? I'm curious about the reason why the latest cameras had the flippy screen instead of the previous tilty screen, and if there would be the possibility of doing a flippy tilty screen in line with the XT100. So flippy screen gate, off you go.
So basically, Zhao, we asked Kevin, and he has the final say on everything, and he's the reason why. So all hate mail about vari-angle screens should be directed to him.
Yep, that seems par for the course.
In all seriousness, it's so many sources of information. We look, of course, we ask our ex-photographers, and Kevin's been privy to a couple of those meetings, less so with everything that's going on with the pandemic, but we have been lucky enough to travel out to Japan and have conversations about future products. We listen to camera reviewers, both your traditional press, so the likes of AP Magazine, Camera Labs and Digital Camera World and all the others. And of course, the rise of social media, YouTube reviewers as well. And in all fairness, one of the biggest negatives when the XT3 came out was everyone said it's got no vari-angle screen. So we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. We also look at what's technically possible, both, and factor that in from a commercial perspective. I saw one reviewer, one YouTuber moaned that the GFX 100S has got a low resolution electronic viewfinder. And he hasn't fathomed that actually we've taken technology that was £10,000 18 months ago, shrunk it, improved the performance, and cut the price by about 40%. And he didn't think that there was any compromise that needed to be made. And it just laughs. And sometimes you just need to go, is it technically possible to put a higher resolution viewfinder in? Yes, of course it is. Well, what effect does that have on the price? And we need to balance all of those factors and go, right, if we add XYZ features, it's going to bump up the price by £100, £200, £300, £400. If we do that, well, the camera is now sitting in a different area of the market and it's competing against different products. Then you have to think about future trends. What might other manufacturers come out with? What are the other demands that people are wanting? We also look at what's selling well, what price points are selling well, what products do we need to attack those certain price points? Can we afford to make existing products cheaper, or do we need a new product altogether? And then you need to remember that a lot of the team in Japan have been working on cameras for many, many years. And they've got their own experience and their own passion about what needs to come. So it's unfair to say that XT4 has got a vari-angle screen because of YouTubers and vloggers, because a lot of the camera reviewers mark the XT3 down because it didn't have a vari-angle screen. And we need to understand that video is very, very, is sort of like a huge opportunity for us. And so it's wrong for us to ignore that completely. Now, for anyone saying, I want X-T4 performance in a more stills focused camera, well, actually, guys, we still have the X-T3, and we updated the autofocus performance to be exactly like the X-T4. So it's one of those things where we're doing our best, but we can never please anyone, especially with the age of the internet and social media.
I've got a lovely quote here from Kunio, who is he's the head honcho. Well, what's Kunio's real kind of job title in Tokyo?
Basically, Kunio is in charge of marketing in Japan, but he's also in charge of other things as well. So don't quote me on just that. And again, as a passionate photographer, has his own views as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great guy, and this is the quote that I wrote down before when I heard him say this. And he says, "Our products tell the person who has a connection with it, who planned it, who designed it, who produced it, who used it, and who loved it."
And that, as I said, going back to the X Summit, that's what gives me great pride, and that's what I feel makes Fujifilm different, is you're talking to the people willing to present the products are the people that designed and were paramount in actually making it. It's like the buck stops with them, and they'll go, yep, fine, we know it doesn't have everything, but it does do this, and this is what it was designed to do.
Okay, a couple of quickfire type questions as we come to the end. And this one's from Dan Croft. And he says, if Fujifilm didn't exist, which brand, Andreas, would you be using?
So, I started taking pictures probably in 94, and it was using a Pentax K1000. So, an old manual Pentax. I moved to, Minolta Dynax 7. So again, up my film game and had more lenses than I knew what to do with. Literally all the gear, no idea. In 2007 or 8, I was working for Fuji for about 4 years at the time, and then bought an S5 Pro, which was a Nikon mount, and then swapped all my Minolta lenses for Nikon. So I've done the pain of switching brands quite a few times. Then I went to work for Sony in 2008. And a few years after that, they launched the Alpha A99, the SLT camera. And I had a pair of A99 and A900, so more traditional SLR. And then in 2014, before I was working at Fujifilm, I sold all of that and bought an XT1. So I'm not answering your question, Dan.
Very diplomatic. You covered every single brand there. Well done. Very clever. Okay, a little bit more of a serious question now from Seth Bates. And he says, when sending camera bodies to the UK repair centre from abroad, especially Switzerland or the EU, for sensor cleaning or other work, will we now have to pay a substantial fee for customs due to Brexit and all of the ongoing stuff with that?
Customs and Brexit are a swear word currently in the office, and Kevin knows all too well that we're struggling ourselves with samples. With regards to repairs, as I understand the process, and forgive me if this is wrong, but I'm not an expert, is the repair will go via Fujifilm Switzerland. So from a customer perspective, they shouldn't have to pay anything more, because their responsibility is just to get it back to the Fujifilm country that they are dealing with. So be it Switzerland, France, Germany, wherever, they'll send it back to Fujifilm in their country, and then it's on our own internal our own internal logistics to get it back to Bedford, and then it'll come back to them. So do I envisage there being additional cost to the customer? No. Do I envisage there being additional delays? Yes, because of the fact that actually there are delays with everything being shipped into the UK right now. So after a while, I don't see there being delays after they smooth out the process, after everyone knows what they're doing. I think that it will settle back to being relatively normal. But I think there's still going to be like bits of paperwork and that necessary to get them through customs, because the issue that you have is that you're taking a product across the border, and you need to prove that VAT has been paid on it, and you need to prove that basically it's going to be leaving the country as well, not as a sale. The important thing is actually if he does have a problem with his camera, call Fujifilm Switzerland and send it back via them. Don't take it upon yourself to send it to Fujifilm Bedford, because then you will be subject to additional import fees and stuff like that.
Okay, Murray Macmillan wants to know if there is any plans to expand on the UK-based Enthusiast program to be something similar to the Creator program in the USA going forward.
No. The thing about it is that the US scheme is great, and obviously they're a much bigger country. And from our perspective, the Enthusiast, we might change the name, we might update it from that perspective. That's all discussions to be had. But now we feel that actually we already give people an opportunity to submit their work, to work with us. If that work is deemed good enough and different and all of that, we might feature you on social media. Based on that, the relationship starts building. We might ask you to write a blog and things like that. It's important to understand how many applications we get a week. I'm not saying it's thousands, but it is a lot. And if you narrow that down to, if we set our stall out and said, right, okay, of the thousands of applications we get every year from Enthusiasts, we're going to have to make X number of people collaborators. We're going to have to make X number of people creators. And then we're going to have to get rid of X photographers that have been working and been loyal to us and what have you, to replace them with someone new. It's very, very difficult thing to do. So for us, we prefer to stick with what we've got. People obviously can contact us in a number of ways. We try and feature a diverse range of photographers and styles on our social media platform. It's probably, the Instagram is probably most diverse in terms of the number of different photographers that we feature, but we're not going to set any hard and fast rules that we're going to literally then have to make X amount of people collaborators or creators. We're happy to work with people, happy to be contacted, but it's just not feasible for us and the team that we've got to do what the US are doing.
Now, you may not know this, but both Neil and I are huge Arsenal fans. So our question to you is, if Arsenal were to be sponsored by Fujifilm, would you go to any of the games?
Would I go to any of the games? No. And the Arsenal sponsorship would happen over my dead body.
Okay, so on that bombshell, I'd just like to say thanks, Andreas, once again for joining us on the show. You have always been very helpful with your time, and I think we had some great questions there today, and you answered them with integrity and honesty, as we always expect from you. So thank you so much. You're
very welcome, Kevin. As I said, I'm very fortunate to be in a position to work for a company which allows us to be as customer facing as possible, and I'll see most of you on the forums and exactly later.
Our thanks to Andreas Georgiadis.
Yeah, he's a good egg. Yeah. And remember, when you are in London, when the House of Photography is open,
yes,
there's lots of good stuff going on in there.
Yes, you must. Yeah, that would support them very well. Okay. Before we do anything else, Kev, we should thank a few of our patrons, shouldn't we? I've noticed the pings coming in a bit and some more patrons of late, which is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much. So patreon.com/FujiCast is where you can go to help us continue to run this show. And as a time-honoured tradition, I'm going to read through the latest names and get most of them wrong. So... We've got Daniel Johnson, thank you, Daniel, Jake Connolly, Wayne Andrews, Jeremy O'Connor, Richard Yarp, Peter Evans, Gavin Alexander, and now, did you ever do German in school?
I did, but please don't ask me to do anything.
You remember those two little dots above the letter?
Umlauts.
Umlauts, yeah. So if there was two little dots over an A,
yes,
how would you pronounce it?
I don't know, Kev. Mr. Wilhelm will be spitting in his Kartoffelpuffers. I just don't. I was listening, but I just didn't take it in.
I just looked it up on the internet, and it says the way to pronounce umlaut is by making a sound E and pursing your lips as if you were whistling. Okay. So, here we go.
Go on then.
George.
Yeah.
Hummel.
Oh, that's absolutely
there we go.
Perfect.
That was all right, I thought. George Hummel.
I think you nailed that. Did he nail that? Yeah, I thought he did.
I think I probably got that terribly wrong, and I don't mean to be offensive, of course, but no. I'm doing my best. George, in English, I'm just going to say George Hamill.
Yeah, Good.
So thank you so much, George, Gavin, Peter, Richard, Jeremy, Wayne, Jake, Daniel, and the rest of you who have supported us. We do really, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for your support. We will wear it always. That's an old Eric Morecambe joke, isn't it?
I know.
Right. Shall I go for a question? Then we're into books and stuff, aren't we? Steve Deaker, all of this back and forth stuff about flip-out selfie screen and a tilt screen has made me think, why can't they do both? What I mean is, how hard would it be to, say, make two versions of the XT5? One for photographers with a tilt screen and one for videographers with a flip-out screen. Everything else the same, just a different screen attachment. Surely that will be possible. And would Fuji consider...
We shall consider. No, they wouldn't never do that. Just from a cost point of view, they just wouldn't. And these factories are set up. The production lines are set up for specific things. This flippy tilty screen gauge thing isn't going to go away anytime soon, is it?
No, it's not. And I'm still kind of a bit bemused by it because I'm thinking, what's the matter with it? Can't you just flick it up? Or I suppose it does work slightly differently, doesn't it?
I do kind of get people's points on it. I do understand it, absolutely. And I mean, he's right, actually. It does make more sense for a certain type of screen to be on a camera that's more video-centric than on a stills one. Yeah. But, it's a case of, what's the saying? The better the devil you know than the devil that jumps on your shoulders or something.
That's the words that Kylie Minogue wrote. You're quite right, yeah.
That was it, yeah. Anyway, they can't. They're not going to appease everybody for sure. And yeah, I mean, but at the same point, I kind of get the point of why people have an issue with certain ergonomics of those designs. But I don't. I have to say, it's not really been an issue for me. Saying that, I don't have an XT4, so I don't know what the screen is like on that.
But you're right. It's not going to go away anytime soon.
No. We should get a jingle. Flippy tilty gate.
Should be.
Ding bong.
Do you want me to do another question before you do the books? Because I know we've got to get more people sending in Facebook questions.
Yes, please.
This one is from Lawrence Mernar. I think it's Mernar. Mernar, yes. Don't you dare do the Mernar.
Oh, please.
I knew you.
Mernar.
Yeah. Hi, guys. First off, love the podcast, and I always look forward to Monday mornings. So I can listen to the latest show. It starts my week off perfectly. Well, there's another person from Ontario. And my question is for the both of you. Can I use my XT1 with Fujifilm X Raw Studio? Well, already I'm batting this one across to Kev. I wanted to check this program out for shits and giggles, but when I start the app up, it can't seem to find my camera. I'm using a MacBook Pro with Mac OS Mojave. Thank you for the great show. Look forward to hearing from you. From Lawrence. He said, hey, I noticed you have a lot of Canadian listeners, so I'm quite sure all of us Fuji users, Fujifilm, would love to see you both come over to Canada for a visit. We'd love to come over to Canada. I couldn't even get over to the Isle of Wight at the moment. We have much to see and do from the east to the west to the rural and urban areas. This is a big and beautiful country. Make a long trip. You need it.
Yeah, I'd love to go. Absolutely love to go to Canada.
I've never been.
Okay, so the X-Raw Studio, as far as I'm aware, is not compatible with the XT1. Right. I've just popped into Google now, and I think, according to what I'm looking at, GFX 50S version 2 or later, Fujifilm X-T2 version 3 or later, Fujifilm X Pro 2 version 4 or later, X100F version 2 or later, and obviously all subsequent cameras ever since. Yeah, so I don't think the XT1 is supported by Fujifilm X-Raw Studio. Yeah, that's the shits and giggles answer for you.
And it's more the former than the latter for you, I'm afraid, on that one. But we would like to come to Canada. I think it's a great idea. I've always wanted to go to Canada. That could be the second anniversary gig in Canada.
Well, it'll be the third. We just had the second.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking we've sort of delayed
the second. The gig, yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Or maybe we should save up for the third, miss out the second one, and when we get to the third, we'll all be in Canada.
In Ontario, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't that be lovely?
Does sound very nice.
Doesn't it? Anyway, we'll start saving for that. We'll put in a penny a week. Let's do book of the week this week. You've got a real corker this week, haven't you?
I have got a beautiful book, and it's called A Voice Above the Lin.
And how do you spell the Lynn? The Lynn.
Lynn, Linn.
Okay.
A book by Robbie Lawrence, photos by Robbie Lawrence, with poems by John Burnside.
Okay.
Now, if any of you are part of the Martin Parr Foundation, Robbie did a webinar on last week, in fact, and I logged in and watched him talk about this book. I already had the book, but it was interesting to see his take on it. So the actual book, the premise of the book is that Robbie and his girlfriend stumbled across this garden up in Scotland, and it was run by a man called Jim. And over a period of several years, Robbie would go back and photograph not only Jim himself, but the garden and the evolution of the garden. And at one point, so Robbie and his girlfriend went up for the final time, only to find the garden in a state of disrepair. And they subsequently found out that Jim had died. And so he was no longer around. But the photos, so this is the poems are beautiful if you're into poetry. I like poetry, but I don't kind of pretend to understand it. But the photos, the portraits of Jim himself are, now I listened to the webinar and he was saying that I thought this was all shot on film, but he said, no, it's all digital. And the beauty of the print is in the book. So the book is made by publishers Stanley Barker. And the actual, what Robbie was saying in the webinar was that he wanted this book to feel like a journal, something you'd pick up. And he said a lovely thing, actually. He said, I really want this book to be on people's coffee table. I really want to see coffee stains on it. I want to see bent up edges. I want people to dip in and out of this book. I don't want it to be stuck on a shelf and just left there. Yeah. And so, it's the colors of the color pictures, the depth and density of these images. It's really mind blowing. You have to see it to understand it. But as he says, it's digital. It's digital images.
Yeah. Is it?
Then it's on this beautiful.
Is it uncoated sort of paper?
Uncoated paper. Yeah.
Right,
and the smell of it. Can you smell this?
Yeah.
That's lush, man.
Yeah.
As they would say in Wales.
What?
Lush. But there's so the book is not really structured as such, but the kind of chapters, if you like, are segmented by these little black and white still lives of simple cases of a leaf or a flower, and these lovely vistas of this garden, and then interspersed with poems and the odd picture of Jim himself. Now
everybody needs a Jim in their life. Looking at
everybody needs a Jim. Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those books that he's right. It needs to be picked up, handled, smelled, touched. It's a tangible thing. So yes, this book, and I don't even know if you can find it available much right now. I did get it from the photobookstore.website, photobookstore.co.uk again.
It's 38 quid, I think. Yeah.
Martin Parr did have it on his website. I've just looked now on the stanleybarker.co.uk and it's out of print or not available there. So it might be a tough one to get hold of. But to give you a little bit more of a more concise overview, I'm just going to read the page notes. And it says, in 2016, Robbie Lawrence first travelled to a remote stretch of coastline in the west coast of Scotland to Lynn Gardens, which lies at the head of Cove Bay on the west side of Rossneath Peninsula. The gardens have been run for 50 years by Jim Taggart, an avid botanist and gardener. And then it goes on to say, when I first met Jim, who by this point was well into his 80s, he told me that he decided to keep the gardens going as a memorial to his son. Over the past few years, I went back to visit Jim and document the garden as it passed through the seasons. Despite his age, Jim would bound around the garden, occasionally stopping to provide a lengthy anecdote about a particular fern or a tree. Last summer, Jim passed away at the age of 84. So yeah, it's beautiful, really, really beautiful book. And I would encourage everybody to look for that if they can. It's not expensive. If it's in print, it's £35.
It's between £38 and £45 is the prices I've seen. I think I've found a couple in stock here. Oh,
yeah. Well, there you go.
But when you look at it, it's it's a study, isn't it? It's a proper study. It's somebody that's looked at something and thought, I'm just going to study it. I'm going to get the some things, the nothings, as I call them. I'm going to get some portraits, some candids. And it's a real. If you sat down and did a study project, this would be it, wouldn't it? And it makes you feel, oh dear, I want a study project.
It's lovely, and it's put together like a journal. It's like an exercise book.
Yes.
Loads of places for you to jot in or sketch yourself if you so wish to. It's great. These amazing black and white images. The fog on the across the peninsula. It's just beautiful, and the portraits, especially for me, are the things that capture me.
Yeah.
And of course, this gentleman is no longer with us, but what a tribute, huh? What a memorial.
God, yeah. I like the still life stuff as well, in particular. The little black and whites where he's just got hold of something from the garden, placed it on a table, and made a picture. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think listening to the webinar he did, that his girlfriend did that. His girlfriend set those up, and they're like the placeholders. Now, the story about Jim's son, by the way, is equally sad, in that he was also following in his dad's footsteps and was a botanist.
Right.
And he went off traveling to do some kind of gathering of flowers and ferns and stuff to bring back, and just disappeared. And they found he'd fallen. They found his body months later down a ravine. Very sad.
Sad end to the story. But a great
beautiful book, though.
Beautiful book, absolutely. Worth writing down and going back to check every now and then, I think. I'm going to be doing that, although I think I may have found a couple. But, definitely worth writing down and buying, if not now, in the future.
We'll link on the show notes to the places that we can find it, of course. Yeah.
Can you link after I've bought one?
After you've written it down with your old man pen and pencils.
During the war. Right. I think we've got time for one more question, but we'll come back and do that question in a moment, because before we do that, Kev had an idea. I think it's your idea, Kev. Kev had an idea around about a year and a bit ago, and we should really introduce you to somebody that made that idea. Well, pretty much, he made it happen. We kind of introduced it, and then he made it happen. So you'll know it as FujiCast at 4. Let's talk to Neil Ford. Hello, Neil.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes. Well, the reason why you're on is because you have been running successfully, single-handedly, it might be added as well, the FujiCast at 4 after Kevin released the idea a year ago. And then nicely, sort of in rugby style, as Kev would, sort of threw the ball out to the winger and just pulled up with a pulled muscle and went to the bar and drunk beer.
That could be one way of putting it, I suppose.
Is that a fair description of it, Kev?
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. But yes, the idea was mine, so I'm taking all the glory.
Well, it was your idea, wasn't it? I think it was.
It was my idea, yeah. But then after about 10 seconds, I realised how complicated it would be. And so we said, Neil, help.
Yeah.
And bless him, he did, indeed.
So, first, should we do the winners first? Or, let's do the winners first. So 4 people won. You did a scoring system, Neil. And if you haven't heard about the FujiCast at 4, the idea was very simple. Well, initially it started out that you had to take the picture exactly bang on at 4 o'clock. But that soon sort of went a little bit left at the traffic lights, and it became take a picture any time between 4 and 5. Yeah?
Yeah, because people were finding 4 o'clock a little little difficult.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
And also we had time zone fun and games. So,
That's true. Yeah. So shall we announce the winners, and then we'll talk a little bit about the photographs that came through. Neil, you can do the honours.
Okay, so the 4 winners were in no particular order, because all of 4 posted for all 366 days. So that's an incredible achievement, I have to say. And they were Mandy Burton, Adam Richardson, Leon Lewis, and Sven Brandola. That's their Facebook names. Yeah. So
that's very cool, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought Leona Lewis would have time for this, would you?
Yeah, I bought all her songs. Oh dear. Yeah. She does live in a funny world, I've got to say. Looking at the pictures. So well done to those 4. But give us an idea of some of the days were very special. Do you mind me mentioning there was one particular day that was particularly close to you, wasn't it?
No, we can talk about that.
I thought it was I'm sort of I was hesitant for a moment to mention it, but we will, because there was a day that was, I think, where the community really came together for you, Neil.
Yes. So in June of last year, my mother unfortunately passed away very suddenly and very unexpectedly, not from the pandemic, but from an unrelated condition. And as a kind of a way of lifting my spirits, or passing their condolences, all of the people in the group that posted that day posted pictures of flowers.
Yeah.
So from their garden, or if they had a formal display in the house somewhere, they all posted pictures of flowers, which was very, very nice in memory of my mum, which was really very, very touching.
Pretty special.
It did leave a lump in the throat, because I knew nothing about it. It had been organised by one of the other participants behind the scenes, and then suddenly these pictures started appearing with notes saying, rest in peace, my mum, and it was like, something's going on here. And that was what it was.
Well, that was one of the highlights, I think, from looking at it. Kev, how many times did you post, by the way?
Well, I posted a flower on that day.
Yeah, you did
do that.
Yeah.
And I posted, I think, 2 times before that.
How many points did Kev get? Did I win the Kev versus Neil competition?
Yeah, you did.
By lots, or by just an incy bit?
By a reasonable amount.
Oh,
I think.
a proper margin.
Give me a second, and I will give you the horrible details.
Right.
So I've just scrolled the spreadsheet too far. So
You're gonna have to keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Well,
keep
Neil
scrolling.
got 30 points,
30
and
points, right.
Kevin got 8 points.
8 points.
8.
Yeah, which was, I think, a total of 5 photographs. I think.
Oh, 5.
5 photographs from yourself, Kevin, and Neil posted 22 in total.
I could never figure out, as I watched this thing grow, I couldn't quite figure out. Are you drinking a bottle of wine out of the bottle there, Neil?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's. Yeah.
I couldn't quite figure out.
Don't you know there's a war on? During the war.
It looks like when you stole off a plane. I couldn't quite figure out how you were doing the points. Like in my simplistic head, which is very simplistic, I'd have just given people a point a day. First to 366, that would have been in me. But however, I posted 5 times and got 8 points.
Yeah, because the idea was it was yes, it was slightly convoluted, but the premise was that it would reward consistency. For each additional day or consecutive day you posted, for a total of 5 days, you got an extra point. So day 1 was 1, day 2 was 3, day 3 was day 2 was 2 rather, 3, 4, and 5. So if you posted for 5 days consecutively, you scored 15 points. And then it reset, went back to 1. So it didn't keep going and get completely crazy. So you've posted for 100 days and suddenly you're getting 100 points. It reset every 5 days, and it also reset if you skipped. So if you posted on days 1, 2, and 3, that would be 1, 2, 3. You missed the 4th day, you started back at 1 again, and therefore, so it favoured consistency.
Right. It's like a little bit like all the losing bonus points Scotland get in the rugby.
Something like that.
Careful, Kev.
Yeah, and then at the very end, what I did was I also added on the total 1 for each individual picture posted. That added on as a bonus to just separate potential ties.
Did you not feel like doing minus points for people like Kev?
No, I didn't. No, I was very good. I didn't make the rule. I didn't set the rules. I was just managing it. Well, it wasn't mine to say to people, no, you can't post that or whatever. I was fairly understanding, and a couple of occasions, people posted perhaps outside the original time frame, but most people got like 1 pass. It was like, yeah, okay, I'll let you off once because you were stuck in traffic or whatever.
Well, it was a great idea, great undertaking, I think, from people that did it all year long. Just give us a couple of. Can you remember any pictures in particular that raised a smile?
There were lots of really interesting things. Lots of dog pictures. And lots of random things, lots of desk shots, obviously. Very early on, it started out with lots of people just photographing their desk because 4 o'clock they were sat at their desk. It's interesting, of course, because this all started before all of the craziness happened. So it was interesting to see how the photographs changed once people were stuck at home. Lots of computer screens, lots of pictures of people editing photographs. That's quite a common theme.
Was there any a little bit
racy? Right.
No, actually, I don't think there was anything even.
Well, I think Kev.
Even the last day, because the last day everybody posted a selfie.
Right.
That was, they all agreed, we'll post a selfie on the last day. But even those were clean. There wasn't one, even, no one was tempted to do one with, bare shoulders or something.
Yeah.
I did like Mandy Burton's one with the beard, though.
Oh, yes. The hipster, everything hipster. Yeah, Mandy's got a cracking sense of humour and definitely...
Yeah.
I wonder what you were going on about there.
Don't be rude.
Don't you start. You're out of office. Well, I think it's been an amazing undertaking, Neil, and we're really thankful for you doing it. So, this is our call to you to say, let's start again then. So, FujiCast. No.
No. I seem to have taken something else on, so I'm busy, I'm afraid.
Well, it was an amazing undertaking, and we raise a glass to you. There we go. But it's the gift that doesn't stop giving. Well, Kev doesn't, anyway.
I'm always giving me. So we have got you a gift because we did realise that we rather... it was mostly Neil's idea, threw you in the deep end. And and we decided to get you something a little bit nice. So, well, I think it's nice anyway. And because it's me, it's a photo book.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very nice photo book. However... I'm not going to tell you what it is. I do have it in my hands. I'm going to show you, because we're doing this on Zoom, he can see me and I can see him. So I'm just going to show him. There it is.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm not going to tell you what it is because it is also the book of the week this week in the show. Yeah. So you'll just have to wait till Monday morning to listen to the show.
To find out what it is.
Okay.
That works.
And then wait for the postman to turn up. But I can guarantee it's a very beautiful book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You will indeed love it.
I did it for the fun of it, really. It was one of those. It was a challenge.
Keep the book then.
Like Neil's Christmas present, yeah.
I just wrap that up and give it to him next year.
If that is a signed book, he obviously likes you more than me.
I'm not yet. We'll leave it at that, shall we?
Thank you, Neil.
My pleasure, as always.
So our thanks to Neil Ford, who's been an absolute star. And it might sound strange, but we sort of surprised him with a book after we've told you about a book. But I'm sure you used your imagination and made it work. Right, questions. Oh, well, I think we've got time for two more, actually. So, Kev, do you want to go? You've got one out of the Facebook group, and I'll do just one more out of the emails.
Okay, so we've got one from our shiny whistle floating referee, Steve Vaughan. And he's literally just posted this in 4 minutes ago. He says, I just made my own custom camera profile in Lightroom using an X-Rite color checker passport. Oh. Have you or Neil ever done that? And why?
No.
Yeah.
Back to
Steve, you dork.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I've done it several times. Absolutely. Yeah. I have, but I've done it because my the profiles in that I build for my presets are based on camera specific things. Right. So you need to use the X-Rite color checker passport to build a profile for a specific camera. So I have done it, but that's the only reason why. I wouldn't just do it for fun.
Why not? You could have more fun if you did.
My question to Steve is, why have you done it? Yeah.
Well,
Steve.
He had a spare couple of months on his hands.
Maybe, yeah. But no, it's quite interesting, though. Those X-Rite color checker passports, obviously, mostly people would use them to drag around and do white balance check-in and any color check-in, really. Very useful little pieces. But for camera profiling, that's what you need to use as well, which most people will just have switched off by now and gone to listen to, I don't know, Fuji Love or something.
Right, last question. This one comes from Indy Lehman. Within the genre of wedding photography, please can you talk about the differences between traditional weddings? See, last week we got accused of doing too many wedding questions, didn't we? When we haven't actually done weddings much at all, I thought. So we've just got one today. Have we done anything else on weddings? Oh, we kind of. No, we did, didn't we? Because we got the start of your career. But that could have been anything. That could have been photographing flowers in Jim's house. Question. Within the genre of wedding photography, can you please talk about the differences between traditional wedding photography that was practiced when I was married 35 years ago during the war and the documentary style that you practice now? Is it like the difference between a stage director and a fly on the wall? And as far as Neil being interviewed by Kevin Mullins, my vote is go for it. Or we'll move over that bit. Let's go.
Oh, no, I've had loads of people.
No, you haven't.
I have. I've had
you haven't.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, 100,000.
No, you haven't.
Million.
The differences between trad and doc. Actually, my mother and father, when they got married in 1962, they had a very, I think, progressive wedding photographer who worked in a fairly documentary style, actually. And their wedding album starts with quite a lot of documentary pictures.
Did you say 1962?
Yeah.
Oh, it might have been Steve. Was it Steve? Might be Steve Vaughan. Only joking, Steve.
Obviously one is candid and one is sort of those weddings that went well into the 80s, really, and the 90s. And, were very traditional, weren't they? I don't think there were many candid photographers around. There was Jeff Ascoff, who sort of broke the mold in this country. And then, of course, after that was a domino effect, and people were, I love this stuff. And I wouldn't say he's invented documentary wedding photography, but he's sure inspired. I mean, I know he inspired you and certainly inspired me. But up to that time, it was a lot of traditional, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I would say that I've seen your parents' wedding album, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's so beautiful. And the difference, yes, of course, the basic difference is one's candid and one's not.
Yeah.
And as we've said many times, candid is an adjective. It's either staged or it isn't staged, and that's the end of it. And what people like Jeff did when he came along, there was Dennis Reggie. Do you remember him?
I do. Yeah.
He was the father of it all, I think, in the States.
He? Okay.
Yeah, I think he was the first one who kind of offered this as a service, candid wedding photography. Oh, okay. And of course, in those days, it was on film, and Jeff did his on his Leica cameras, and that, you needed proper skill and talent to. There's no way I could do it on film. I wouldn't even know how to open the camera and put the film in, let alone take the pictures. Yeah. And people like Jeff and Dennis Reggie and other people of at that time, they kind of broke the mold and were like, well, hang on, look, we can still take pictures of your wedding day without it being totally staged and having a fake cutting of the cake and then actually cutting it in real life and all of that stuff. I mean, back in those days, the photographers would shoot 3 or 4 weddings a day. They'd go to the wedding. They'd set up the cutting of the cake. They'd set up a fake first dance, and then they'd go to the next wedding. And that was just the way it was. There was nothing wrong with that. That's the way it was. It's the same. People used to drive without wearing seatbelts just because that's the way it was. And things have progressed. Yeah. So ultimately, it's this idea of fly on the wall and stage direction is a good way of separating the two, I think.
On the Photography Daily podcast, which I hope you don't mind me mentioning for a second, Kev, but it's just struck me that there's a very apposite subject this, because we're talking about crossing the fourth wall and what happens when with Ed Cashy today, the Seven agency photographer. Talking about when people look you in the eye, is it then not candid anymore? It's a small part of the interview, but it has created a larger conversation about the idea of just because somebody looks you in the eye, is it no longer candid? What do you think about that?
That's really interesting, isn't it? I never really thought about that. My take on it is if you don't direct them to do any, and by that I mean even pointing my substantially pointy eyebrow in one direction, then it's candid. If they look at you without any direction, then it's candid. That would be my take on it. But I have to say,
but haven't you changed?
Cashy has got a lot more legacy and talent and experience than me to have a conversation on that.
But you've changed the situation, though, haven't you? By your presence, the fact that you've been spotted. That's what I think. This whole conversation about. Is it no longer candid because then you have changed the situation? It's
by being there.
Yeah, and it's
just by being there.
Yeah, just by being there, and suddenly they may be acting differently. I mean, a very interesting one. Don McCullen's incredibly potent picture of the Marine with the staring eyes. I mean, you could say, is that a portrait or is that candid? What is it?
Yeah. I think that's slightly different because he was in shell shock, wasn't he?
He was.
But yeah, the point is the same. You're right. I don't know. I have to say, you're getting some amazing guests on the Photography Daily. So I'm gonna listen to that carefully and see what he says.
Well, it's only because they say, do you know that Kevin Mullins? I say, I do, yeah. I'll only come on the show if you introduce me to Kev. I've got a list of 50 people that want to meet you.
Once you've listened to this, folks, you can then head over to the Photography Daily.
Absolutely. Well, you're at the end now anyway, so that's practically it. But that's it. Well, Kev's going to go off into the distance, and he's going to have to make a lot of very soul-searching decisions after this show today. Who he's going to dump out of his life on Facebook so he can let a few people in. Who's going to be first to go, Kev? Don't say me.
No comment.
And that's it for another week. If you can share the episode on Twitter or on Facebook, you are an absolute star. Please, while we're talking about Facebook, it's very important at the moment because God knows how long we're going to be in this shutdown at the moment, Kev, because
it's less and less by the day. It will be like a matter of weeks. Yeah, weeks.
What?
I'm confident.
Weeks?
Yeah.
You don't know that.
No, I don't mean that at all.
What do you think? Bouquet Chicken, what do you think? Oh, he agrees with you.
Good.
So, make sure you go into our Facebook group and leave some questions so that, because Kev does the Facebook questions and I do the email ones. Email your questions into click at fujicast.co.uk. Thank you to those that have supported the show by Patreon that we mentioned today. Funnily enough, we've got some nice messages from some of the names you mentioned, which we will read out because they've said some nice, quite amusing things, some of them. Music from Blue Wednesday, supporting music from the incredible artlist.io. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye, Kev.
Bye-bye.
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.